My heel pain probably started towards the end of summer. I'd undertaken a lot more cycling as a age group of triathlete. I was transitioning to more a running focused setup moving forward, and in doing so I went from a very limited base of running to quite a substantial increase in the load. And I think just the change in the mileage I was doing was one of the big reasons, coupled with the fact around summertime there was lots of time spent in unsupported footwear, things like thongs and bare feet. The impact the heel pain had was lots of soreness in the morning, very first thing when you get out of bed, which would last probably a few minutes before you moved around enough that it started to ease a little. And in my job, I spent a lot of time on my feet all day on hard surfaces, often up and down ladders. So I would find that either the pain would increase a little bit by the end of the day, or alternatively, it just wouldn't go away. Probably one of the biggest impacts it had was I stopped running altogether, which for me, exercise has been an important part of my life for a long time. And I often choose to undertake some events, and it meant taking time off from exercise, which in my case made me quite irritable. I'm sure the family would agree with that. And I found that difficult. Not being able to do that was really tough. Absolutely, it helped. Everyone's done Dr. Google, looked at a million and one different websites to try and work out what's wrong. In my case, I wanted to go see a professional and specifically get told what the issue was. And then once we knew what the issue was, I could then be pointed in the right direction of how to tackle it, maybe what changes I should make, and probably in my case, most importantly, was a time frame, how long I'm supposed to deal with the pain for, and how long before it goes away or becomes a lot less. The podiatrist talked about imaging. I thought that in his professional opinion, he knew what was going on and what was wrong. And so personally, I didn't feel the need to look deep inside the foot to see what was wrong. He suggested that some of the causes, again in my case, were footwear issues. Coming out of summer, there'd been a lot of non-supported footwear. I'd also increased my running load. Again, from a cycling perspective, maybe that load had increased, and with the changes to running, the changes in the body movement might have created a bit of an issue as well. It was all about the tightness underneath the heel, and in my case it was resonating right underneath the heel bone in a particular spot, obviously where the fascia runs over the heel, and that tightness was creating a painful spot. Probably the first treatment that worked was he encouraged me to take a break from running, which I probably stopped for approximately 2 to 3 weeks of no running whatsoever. Then he started with massage, just obviously loosen the tension a little bit underneath, and I found massage worked incredibly well. It was more a temporary fix though, that later on in the day it would get tight again and the pain would come about, but certainly temporarily massage was really helpful. We then taped the heel area. Again, taping was great. It just took the pressure around the heel area off, and coupled with that, we introduced some lifts into my runners, which again, all about taking the load off underneath and that helped as well. We also discussed wearing runners a lot, so getting out of flat, non-supported footwear. One of my first things I would do was wake up in the morning with the tennis ball under the foot before I got out of bed. I thought that helped. And then not only that, I would put a pair of runners on before I even took my first footstep out of bed. So it was all about wearing supported footwear as much as I can, which again, I think made quite a difference. We then looked at some trying to loosen the calf. So some stretching exercises, the lean against the wall, just to loosen the calf. I think at the time I did some foam rolling on the calf area as well, just to help loosen it up. Oh, look, well, anyone who's perhaps going through the same thing, I think start with some of the obvious changes you can make, and that would be my advice. Look, start wearing some proper footwear, monitor what changes, maybe exercise or walking or whatever it is, monitor the changes you've made, because that itself might give you an insight into what you could do to change, or you might minimise the workload, or you might minimise the intensity of it. So analyse what changes you've made recently that might have brought it on. And look, I would encourage people to seek a professional help, because in my case, I like to know exactly what the issue is, and then the professional and I can put in place a plan to move forward.